Are we good to go?
Okay, the public line is connected and we are live on YouTube, so you're ready to go.
Very good. It is 10:02 a.m. and I'll call to order the meeting of the Board of Directors of Friday, August 26th, 2022. Before we begin, please note this meeting is live streamed on YouTube and recorded. Members of the public are encouraged to watch and listen to the meeting on YouTube or by dialing into 415-569-6446 for the audio of this meeting. If you'd like to provide public comment at today's meeting and have not done so already, please call 415-569-6446 and let the facilitator know you would like to provide public comment. I appreciate everyone's patience as we move through today's meeting. Madam Secretary, the roll, please.
Thank you and good morning, everyone. I'm going to start with Director Arnold is absent. Director Conroy is also absent. Director Garbarino.
Here.
Director Giudice.
Here.
Director Grosball.
Here.
Director Hernandez is absent. Director Maston.
Here.
Director Parr.
Present.
Director Rabbit.
Here.
Director Rodoni.
Here.
Director Snyder.
Here.
Director Stephanie is absent. Director Thier.
Here.
Second Vice President Hill.
Here.
First Vice President Cochran.
Here.
And President Theriault.
Here.
Thank you. You have a quorum. I'm going to confirm staff on the line now, and that's Dennis Mulligan,
Here.
Joe Wire,
Yes.
Eva Bauer-Furbish,
Present.
Kim Manolius, is, I'm going to call on then Madeline Chen.
Here.
Great, thank you. And I think Kim Manolius is on by phone. I see him there. Okay, but we have Madeline Chen here. We have Dave Rivera.
Good morning, President.
Thank you. Mona Babauta. I see
Mona's
Mona.
here. Yep, I'm here. I'm here. I'm present.
I heard crackling and I thought, okay, that was her. Jim Swindler.
Yep. Present.
Thank you. Kelly Hopper.
Present.
Thank you. All right, and that confirms staff on the line. And I see Kim coming back, but before we move from staff roll call, I want to, with the board's indulgence, I have one more staff person to acknowledge who's also on our Zoom meeting. And I wanted to introduce the newest team member of the district secretary's office, Dean Ignacio. Dean joins our office as an assistant clerk of the board trainee and fills the vacancy from Patsy Whala's retirement back in April. So we can put a face to the name. I wanted to invite Dean to say a few words. Dean, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Madam Secretary. Members of the board, thank you all for having me here this morning. My name is Dean Ignacio, and I'm here before you today as the newest member of the District Secretary Office team. I would like to begin by thanking our Madam Secretary for seeing something special in me and for allowing me to become the district's new Assistant Clerk of the Board trainee. Before joining the Golden Gate Bridge Highway and Transportation District, I worked for the Human Resources Department of the San Francisco Unified School District for the past 7 years, during which I provided essential support to educators, fellow colleagues, and to district parents and students alike. I am forever grateful for the school district for being an invaluable presence in both my life and in my professional career. With the new role of Assistant Clerk of the Board trainee, I am eager to bring both my tenacity and commitment to learn the fundamentals and intricacies of the duties that are assigned to me. With the guidance and support of our Madam Secretary, my teammates, our district officers, and our members of the board, it is my fervent hope to do and give my sincere best in providing assistance and support for the months ahead and the many years to come. On a special note, I am incredibly proud to be a part of a legacy of family members who have been in the service of the district. My uncle, Delano Ignacio, who served as a transit operator for 20 years, and in addition, my uncle, Omar Ignacio, who currently reports as an electronics and communications technician. I look forward to writing this next chapter, and I want to thank our Madam Secretary and the members of the board for having me here this morning. Once again, sincerely, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Ignacio, for your statement. We will keep you busy.
Thanks, Dean, and thank you, board. President Titirio, that confirms staff on the line.
Thank you, Madam Secretary. And thanks to everyone for joining us this morning. And please, we ask you for your continued patience as we go through today's board agenda. Please be reminded, my colleagues, mute your microphones and remember to unmute when we open up for directors' discussion. If we have directors calling in by phone, please use your mute button or *6 to unmute yourself. I'll ask for any questions or comments on items on the agenda item. Click on the raised hand function on your device if you have a question, or press *9 for the raised hand function if joining by phone. And if you can't find the raised hand function, as sometimes I've seen it disappear, just raise your hand on screen and I'll try to pick up on that. If there are any questions, the secretary or I will call on you accordingly. If we missed your raised hand, please speak up. Following any discussion, we'll take the appropriate roll call vote. If you are not speaking, please remember to mute your phones to minimize background noise on today's meeting. Please follow along by referring to the page numbers located on the bottom right-hand corner of your meeting packet. Director Thier, it's your turn to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
Okay. Having a tiny bit of trouble. Do you think someone else could lead us today? Oh, sorry.
I'll launch in and you can follow. How's that? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States
of
America.
and
And to the republic
for
which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, thank you. Before we move on to public comment under item 4, Madam Secretary, we had a considerable roll of callers before the meeting. How many are we at now?
We are still at 14, but we will probably want to poll again while we're having our opening remarks. We did have a number of other people that also joined, and once Justine goes through the list, she would like the board's indulgence in polling the public one more last time, just to make sure that we captured all the public comment.
Thank you. I think because there are so many callers on today's meeting, we'll hold, first of all, we'll hold staff responses and comments till the end of public comment. But since the public comment period is normally limited to 30 minutes, I'll ask each caller to limit their comments to 2 minutes or less, so we can accommodate more speakers. And if a caller before you has said pretty much exactly what you want to say, please say something to the effect of what he said or what she said, and we will note that you are in support of whatever position stated. And I will also ask the board for a motion to extend the time for public comment if necessary. Can I have that motion?
Are so moved.
I see Director Parr. Is there a second?
Second.
Okay. Do we need a roll call vote for that, or can we just do a straight up and down aye and nay?
We can do an aye and nay.
Okay. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, say
Aye.
nay. The ayes have it. So we've opened public comment beyond the 30 minutes if necessary. So, Madam Secretary, please continue with the next item on the agenda.
Thank you. We're going to move into item number 4 for public comment for any and all items on today's agenda. If you wish to speak on an item or agenda, speak to it now, or if you have public comment to provide, you can do that as well. Justine's going to assist us today in facilitating our public comment line. So Justine, go ahead and introduce our first speaker.
Good morning. Thank you. Our first speaker this morning is Kimberly Renee Gamboa. Kimberly Renee?
Good morning. My name is Kimberly Renee Gamboa, and I am holding one of my favorite photos of my 18-year-old son, Kyle Emerson Gamboa, and he is smiling from ear to ear in his childhood picture. Kyle jumped off the Golden Gate Bridge on September 20th, 2013 at 11:45 a.m. Typically this time of year, I am thinking of Kyle's last days on this earth. At this time, Kyle was already playing high school soccer, and his senior year would officially start in September, the day after Labor Day. We were all looking so forward to Kyle's senior year in high school and anticipating Kyle's college plans and what the future would hold for Kyle after graduation. Of course, we never imagined in a million years that we would be burying our son in less than a month. Playing Kyle's last days in my mind is always an especially sad time for me up until September 20th, when Kyle ended his life on the bridge. After Kyle's death, time just stopped for me for a while. But this year is a little lighter. The Golden Gate Bridge District, all of you, are finally coming down the home stretch of completing the construction of the suicide deterrent. While reviewing the board agenda and the status report on engineering projects, I am seeing the words final painting and final relative alignment, and this really warms my heart. And especially in seeing a new project, the Suicide Deterrent System Rescue Training Net project. Thank you for not making the tragedy of suicide on the Golden Gate Bridge an eternal, never-ending nightmare. Hopefully the end of suicides on the Golden Gate Bridge is coming soon. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Ms. Gamboa, for your always valuable comments. Next speaker, Ms. Bach, please.
Our next speaker is Dave Rhodey. Dave Rhodey.
Good morning. My name is Dave Rhodey. I work with the Climate Reality Project. As you can imagine, this is a very exciting time to be a climate activist. I think you can all understand why. The Inflation Reduction Act that President Biden just signed into law is the most comprehensive climate legislation in history. Specific to Golden Gate Bridge Transit's clean energy goals, the IRA climate bill is also the country's largest ever federal investment in public transportation. A significant part of that investment is in clean energy transmission and EV infrastructure, with hundreds of millions committed to electrifying transit buses across the country and creating a new grid deployment authority to build a clean 21st century electric grid. I have yet to see all the specifics of how the bill's $550 billion investment will be deployed, but witnessing the Golden Gate Bridge District's ability to access federal money these past years, I have great confidence that you will take advantage of this bill. There should be plenty of opportunity here to get, as you're fond of saying, Mr. Mulligan, other people's money to buy new electric buses. On that topic, I want to thank the board for a positive discussion last month after my remarks. Several of you spoke up for accelerating your transition to electric buses and to initiating the work of an electric charging infrastructure. I especially liked your statement, Director Parr, about Golden Gate Bridge Transit driving the market, pushing local bus manufacturers to make the types of electric buses you need. I had more to say, but in the interest of the new time limit, I will submit the rest in writing. Thank you for listening.
Thank you, Mr. Rhodey. Ms. Bach, the next speaker, please.
Our next speaker is Kieran Culligan.
Good morning. I'm a Sausalito resident and vice chair of the Sausalito Pedestrian Bicycle Advisory Committee, and I'm a regular bike commuter. I haven't quite seen it all, but I've seen a lot. Head-on bicycle crashes, crosswinds that make bicycles uncontrollable, bloodied cyclists hitting rough spots on Alexander, sudden motorist U-turns in front of us, and lots of flat tires. The other thing I've really noticed lately is that we're welcoming lots of new riders to the road, maybe because of the climate impact, maybe the health benefits, mental well-being, avoiding the financial burden of tolls and parking, the convenience of e-bikes, or some combination of all of those things. Whatever it is, it's beautiful to see, and we need to encourage more of it. That's where you come in. One of the biggest factors that holds people back from getting out there on bicycles is safe infrastructure. 60% of the total population is interested but concerned about biking. Of those, 80% would be willing to ride on streets with a separated or protected bike lane. Anyone in that concerned group certainly isn't going to be traveling on Alexander anytime soon after the recent news reports. And I can't really blame them for having those concerns. It's a real problem. You all, as Bridge District board members, wield incredible power to create a safer, more welcoming bicycle connection between Marin County and San Francisco. I'm seeking your help to put forward two things. One, commit to a Vision Zero policy. Two, Prioritize maintenance and infrastructure improvements for vulnerable road users, pedestrians, and cyclists. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Colligan. Ms. Bach, the next speaker, please.
Our next speaker is Kevin Gammon. Kevin?
Hi there, good morning. I'm going to reiterate some of the things the last caller just said. So my name's Kevin Gammon. I've lived in San Anselmo and worked in the city for almost 25 years. And I commute to the city all the time on my bike. I actually rode in this morning. And, I think every time I ride in, I feel so lucky that we have one of the most beautiful commutes in the world. But same thing, it was sad, but I wasn't surprised when I saw the recent study that two of the most dangerous intersections in Marin are on Alexander. It's just plain, it's not bike or pedestrian friendly. At times there's, I just rode in today, there's no shoulder. And if there is, it's in disrepair or it's gravelly. Cars are coming by at highway speeds on there. And really one of the most challenging parts is just crossing over from, across Alexander to get on the bridge. There's no easy way to do that. And what I do, I've done this for a long time, so I'm pretty confident in it, but I feel for visitors that are coming to San Francisco, they're renting bikes, and they're totally not prepared when they get to that part of the road and to get them either from Sausalito to the city or vice versa. So I'm also saying, I hope you set a Vision Zero policy and eliminate the potential for serious crashes or death. And, I've seen some scary things out there. So hopefully that's something we'll all work towards. But I also want to, the other side, the positive side, is just to encourage more people to be able to enjoy what I've been enjoying for 25 years. So thanks so much. I appreciate it.
Thank you, Mr. Gammon. Ms. Bach, the next speaker.
Our next speaker is Brian Wedge. Brian?
Sure. This is Brian Wedge. I live in Mill Valley. Speaking today because I too saw that recent study that showed that the two most dangerous intersections for bicyclists in all of Marin County are on the 1 mile stretch of road that are managed by you all. And you have the power to do something about this, but apparently there hasn't been an urgency to do anything as of yet. Alexander Avenue is the only way between Marin and San Francisco, and it is ridden by tens of thousands of people every month. But it's only designed with cars in mind. And so I am concerned. I've been riding it for many, many years. And I hope that you all will take this seriously and, number one, set a very clear and explicit goal of eliminating serious collisions before someone dies on your watch. And two, to initiate a planning process for how you're going to achieve that goal, because it's not a matter of if, but when. And I really hope you'll take that seriously. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Wedge. Ms. Bach, the next speaker, please.
Our next speaker is Susan Mawberry. Susan?
Hi, my name is Susan Mawberry, and I have been riding Alexander Avenue for the last 8 years. And over the last 5 years, I've watched the road conditions deteriorate. I'm not only calling because of that study, but because in January of 2022, I got my wheel stuck in that crack where you exit Sausalito and it becomes the Golden Gate Bridge territory. And I almost got hit by a car because I almost fell into the road. And I'm a pretty experienced cyclist, but trying to get onto the shoulder when fast traffic comes up from Sausalito and is speeding on Alexander can be tricky even for someone like me who's been riding for 8 years. And when I emailed the Bridge District, I got a same day response, and they said that it wasn't their jurisdiction. And I emailed the city of Sausalito, and they said it is the Bridge jurisdiction. I was disturbed at how quickly my concerns were dismissed, and when I told the Bridge District that this is the Bridge territory, they apologized and said that they would be reporting it to the supervisor of facilities. I have not heard back. I emailed in June. This is a very dangerous section. The heavy rains in the last 5 years has caused the road to deteriorate further. There's a concrete barrier that eliminates part of the shoulder. Farther down, there's a pullout before Bunker Road, and gravel spills out onto the road. It's very dangerous for less experienced cyclists. It's slippery. You need to enter the roadway. Cars go very fast. And then lastly, the west span of the bridge is closed in the morning for commuters. So the commuters must cross the road onto the eastern span, and that intersection is extremely dangerous. And I believe that part is cited in the study as well. In addition to the Bunker Road area where people are constantly making left and right turns, cutting cyclists off. So I hope that the bridge takes these concerns into consideration and eliminates these hazards before somebody dies. Thank you.
Thank you. You'll forgive me if I butcher the name because I didn't quite hear it, but thank you, Ms. Aubrey, I think it was. Next speaker.
Yes.
Thank you. Okay, thank you. Next speaker, please, Ms. Bach.
Our next speaker is Dave Troop. Dave?
Hi, good morning. My name is Dave Troop. I live in San Anselmo. I also refer to the recent study which showed that the two most dangerous intersections in Marin County are located on Alexander Avenue. I travel this stretch of road at least once a week, and I've done that over a period of years. It is dangerous intersections which are not well marked, as well as other hazards. And the situation is made worse because the road's used by many out-of-town drivers, bikers, and pedestrians who are unfamiliar with it. I urge the Bridge District to promptly carry out an in-depth study on ways to make Alexander Avenue safer so that we can eliminate the possibility of serious crashes before someone dies or is badly injured. I thank you for your time.
Thank you, Mr. Trump. Ms. Bach, the next speaker, please.
Our next speaker is Nathan Cohen. Nathan?
Hello, this is Nathan. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can. Go ahead.
Hi, my name is Nathan Cohen. I'm a resident of San Rafael. My wife rides over the bridge all the time to commute to work. I ride over for fun often, or to get other places. I want to reiterate a lot of what a lot of other people have said about the safety concerns. I really encourage the directors to go do a site walk, and you'll see how intimidating it is to cross the street. Basically a freeway off-ramp. It is a freeway off-ramp in actuality. And so I'm an experienced cyclist, but I get nervous there, and definitely nervous about other people in that area, and really think it's an opportunity to make like an awesome place better. You have, so many tourists. It can be so much more welcoming. I think if I can imagine being a tourist on the bridge, it would almost be like a sense of, conquering the bridge and Alexander, because it's so dangerous and intimidating. We could really change that into like being welcoming and fun and safe, and even for kids, that type of thing. And I also, I'm very happy about to change subjects a little bit, like the suicide deterrence. Like that is very wonderful to see that coming together. And it's always exciting seeing the projects on the bridge in general. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you, Mr. Cohen. Ms. Bach, the next speaker.
Our next speaker is Dave Rhodes. Mr. Rhodes?
Hi, everybody. This is Dave Rhodes from the city of San Rafael, and I often commute to the city via the ferry, bus, and bike, and typically a combination thereof. And I wanted to flag, like others, the recent study showing that two of the most dangerous intersections in the Bridge District's jurisdiction are, of course, along Alexander Avenue. And while biking, I've personally been past the unsafe speeds and distances along the stretch shrubs and potholes, as other callers made notice, have made the narrow shoulder nearly impossible to use, which really contributes to the dangerous situation. And the lack of pedestrian facilities mean that people walking along the road add to the unsafe conditions for everybody. It's a really bad situation that's just going to be worse and worse with more tourists and more people using it. And so I really challenge you as the board to set a Vision Zero policy to eliminate serious crashes before someone dies or is seriously injured. It's our responsibility, and we're all people that contribute to this situation and can make it better. So we want to make sure that just think if someone's killed, how that would negatively impact the use of our facilities by locals and tourists, much less the loss of that life. So please, adopt a Vision Zero policy, and thank you for your time and your service.
Thank you, Mr. Rhodes. Ms. Bach, please bring the next speaker on.
Our next speaker is Holly French. Holly, go ahead.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes, we can. Go ahead.
Great. I'm also echoing the sentiment of all the other callers calling about bike safety in Marin and in the Bridge District. One of the things I love most about living in the Bay Area is access to the most beautiful cycle lane in the world. But I know we can do better with regards to bike safety, especially in the Bridge District. Cars drive recklessly, the pavement quality is bad on Alexander Avenue, and many tourists often struggle with the narrow shoulder and the fast-moving traffic going up the hill. So I'd love to see new pavement, marked and protected bike lanes, and for us to set a Vision Zero policy to eliminate serious crashes with cyclists and cars. Thanks so much for your time and everything you do.
Thank you, Ms. French. Ms. Bach, next speaker, please.
Our next speaker is David Pilpel. David, go ahead.
Yes, good morning, David Pilpel. So I made a number of comments yesterday on various topics. I won't repeat them, but I appreciate you listening and taking those into consideration. Today, I wanted to say, given the CARB decision this week and well-known PG&E delays on electric connections, I think it would be good to assess district facilities in all 3 counties for batteries, electric vehicle charging infrastructure, rooftop solar potential, and related electric facilities. These projects often take years to develop and construct, so I think an initial assessment of what's possible, followed by more detailed planning and development, would be prudent. I would encourage you to ask staff to report back at a future meeting on those topics, and thank you, as always, for listening.
Thank you, Mr. Pilpel, and thank you for your wishes for my good health yesterday. I've had a couple things trying to kill me recently. They have not yet succeeded. Ms. Bach, the next speaker, please.
Our next speaker is Hillary Noel. Hillary?
Hi, good morning. My name is Hillary Noel, and I'm a longtime bicycle commuter. I ride from Mill Valley into my office in San Francisco, and I do this several times a week through many conditions, and have kind of seen it all along Alexander Avenue. Similar to so many folks who've gone before me calling in today, I was not super surprised to see the recent study that showed the 2 most dangerous intersections in Marin are both on Alexander Avenue. And this is a segment of our key infrastructure that's managed by you all, representatives of our Bridge District. In my experience, the portion of the ride is one of the most beautiful. It's part of the day where I'm unwinding from the stress of the day and, coming home. It's astounding how the natural beauty on this portion of the road. But my enjoyment of that is really diminished because I'm so astutely alert to avoid the multiple hazards along the way. And in particular, there are several segments of Alexander Avenue where it's very dangerous for people on bikes and on foot. I've personally been brushed by passing vehicles while riding on that narrow shoulder near the north end of Alexander Avenue at the Edwards Avenue intersection. There are many other segments, which I'm sure could be studied further. Some folks on the call have alluded to them. And one other comment is that while I'm a very skilled and experienced bike commuter, I worry about those who have less experience on bikes. And I see a lot of close calls. So it's evident that it's time for the Bridge District to adopt a Vision Zero policy, eliminate serious crashes and close calls, and look at adopting and redesigning the road with modern standards that meet the needs of our time, that meet the needs of multiple users. Thank you very much for your time and consideration.
And thank you, Ms. Noel. Ms. Bach, the next speaker, please.
Our next speaker is Warren Wells. Warren?
President Ontario, members of the board, my name is Warren Wells, Policy and Plan Director for the Marin County Bicycle Coalition. You know, the Golden Gate Bridge is the premier landmark of the Bay. You know, at last count, the bridge saw thousands of daily riders of all ages and abilities from all over the world crossing its sidewalks. But when they reach Marin, they're spit out on Alexander Avenue, a road with no accommodations for people riding, and lanes as wide as those on nearby US 101. We've talked about the study. I'll breeze over that a bit. You know, I just want to say that, you know, some may blame these crashes on inexperienced riders, but one should not have to be a Tour de France veteran to be comfortable and safe riding between San Francisco and Marin. We should strive for a system where my mom or my sister could ride with me across the Golden Gate Bridge to the ferry in Sausalito. First, I urge the Bridge District, like other people have here, to set an explicit policy of eliminating serious injuries and, God forbid, deaths on its facilities. This policy, known as the Vision Zero resolution, applies not only to people walking and biking, but to the too many drivers injured on Alexander as well. Second, the Bridge District should fund a multimodal safety plan on Alexander Avenue. This can be done through the Bridge District budget or through external funding. Happily, there is a new federal grant program through the infrastructure bill that would fund exactly these sorts of studies. This program, called the Safe Streets and Roads for All, can fund Vision Zero plans, and special districts like this one are eligible for funding. The deadline for applications is September 15th, but I've been told by a staff member of the Vision Zero Network, who is a former Bridge District Director herself, the application is not onerous. In my capacity at MCPC, I pledge full support to such an application, including coordinating letters of support from my organization and other groups in Marin and San Francisco. Following up on Mr. Cohen's suggestion, I'm also happy to do a site visit with any interested board members. In closing, you know, we know Alexander Avenue is not safe as currently configured. I urge you to treat the many people who ride here as users worth protecting, as you have done in the past with the movable barrier and the suicide deterrent system. We should not wait for someone to be in a fatal crash to make this choice. Thank you so much for your time and consideration.
And thank you so much, Mr. Wells. Ms. Buck, the next speaker, please.
Our next speaker is Jason Ford. Jason?
Hello, members of the board. Thank you for the time. I recently accidentally went viral on the internet, and this is how I found you. Warren reached out to me when he saw what went viral. I'm going to read you what I wrote on the internet that went viral, and you may relate to it as it relates to the study. Here's what I wrote. Alexander Avenue, the road that connects Golden Gate Bridge with Sausalito, is insane if you think about it. Tourists are sold an idyllic bike ride over the Golden Gate Bridge, and then they're given no bike lane as cars close pass at 50 miles an hour coming off of 101. Why do we do this to our guests? Hundreds and hundreds of people came out of the woodwork who I don't know and I've never met, and elevated what I had written incredibly high. And so it spread far and wide. And what that said to me was that I wasn't alone. And I'm going to read one reply that I received. I received tons of replies, but one in particular I think is relevant to this group. Her name is Rachel. She lives in Tucson, Arizona. I don't know her, but she wrote the following. I was shaking for hours after I did it. The ferry ride back is a total blur because I was just trying to calm down. Her experience is not alone. And I am curious why we do this to our guests and we send them back to whatever country or place in the states that they came from with this weird hazing that is Alexander Avenue. And the study only reaffirms what we already knew. As a regular user and an experienced cyclist, I do sometimes shake when I get to Sausalito after a car who, for whatever reason, perhaps they were in a rush, maybe they were just on their phone, I don't know, they close pass and it becomes a life or death scenario very quickly. I have 2 children and my mortality has become more real since having children. And I fear that one day Alexander Avenue is going to take someone from us unnecessarily. And there are ways to stop this through protected infrastructure. And I hope you will adopt a Vision Zero and implement that infrastructure. Thank you for your time.
And thank you, Mr. Ford. Ms. Bach, I have 14. Do you need a moment to poll for more?
I would appreciate a moment, President Ontario, if you don't mind.
Thank you. Please proceed.
Thank you.
You have been muted.
Good
To
morning. I'd like
unmute
to check in
yourself,
and see
press
if
the
there's
star key
anyone else that
twice.
you missed who'd like to speak this morning under public comment. Please use star to unmute yourself and let me know. If you do have a comment this morning and you'd like to speak, please press star on your side to unmute yourself and let me know. Okay, I'm not hearing anyone. Thanks.
Mute off.
There are no more callers from the public side this morning.
Thank you so much, Ms. Bach. Mr. General Manager, we've heard a lot about Alexander Avenue. We've heard almost as much about Vision Zero. Do you have any response to these comments?
Yes, thank you, Mr. President, board members, staff, and members of the public. First off, I want to thank all of the speakers today for taking the time to share their very important thoughts with us. To Ms. Kimberly Renee Gamboa, thank you for your tireless advocacy on behalf of a suicide barrier on the Golden Gate Bridge, and we look forward to building it and completing the construction as soon as possible. To Mr. David Rhodey, I want to acknowledge his advocacy also. He's a monthly reminder, or at least monthly, and because of his advocacy, we are even more focused on addressing the challenges that confront us. With respect to Alexander Avenue, I want to thank all the speakers. I want to let them know the Bridge District is focused on public safety. We built a public safety railing 20 years ago between the sidewalk and the roadway on the Golden Gate Bridge, and they acknowledge the removal of median barrier and the suicide barrier. With respect to the recent study they're referring to, for those members of the public that may not be familiar with it, a few days ago, the Marin Independent Journal newspaper had an article that quoted a study. The study was performed by a very well-regarded personal injury law firm, the Walkup firm, looking at accidents, not accident rates, but just numbers of accidents throughout Marin County. So they highlighted the speakers' issues on Alexander Avenue, and I would like the speakers to know that recently the board authorized the establishment of a bike and pedestrian advisory committee for the district. Up until 2 weeks ago, applications were lagging. We've received some more recently. But I would encourage all the speakers who spoke today to apply, to please go to our website. It's on the front page under news items. You can click the link and learn about the Bike Pedestrian Advisory Committee. And I encourage you to apply. In the coming weeks, we'll be reviewing the applications and picking a representative group that represents the challenges that we confront. Because this is the group where we will want to sit with and walk through the challenges on Alexander Avenue and look at potential solutions. So we encourage the group to join the speakers to join that group because we see that group as an appropriate vehicle to get stakeholder input into changes in bridge, bus, and ferry operations. And clearly, based on the number of comments we received today, Alexander Avenue will be one of the first topics that they address. That concludes my response to the public comments today. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Mulligan. I believe there are already some applicants from among the speakers today for the Pedestrian and Bicycle Advisory Committee, but the more the merrier. So the next item, thank you again for everyone who participated in public comment. And this then.
Mr. Chair, I had one question if I could.
Please go ahead.
Sorry, I know this has gone on. Dennis, does the Bridge District have the authority to establish a bike lane on Alexander Avenue?
So you could do anything with money. But it's important to clarify, at the top of Alexander Avenue, where there's that high-speed off-ramp, that part of Alexander Avenue is not in our permitted area. That's in Caltrans's permitted area. The National Park Service is the federal agency that controls the underlying land. We have on Alexander Avenue a license or an agreement for a certain width. And so we have a certain available current width that could be modified. And if we wanted to expand the width, it would require retaining walls. But I think it's appropriate for us to sit down with the stakeholders to kind of review the facility, hear ideas, have staff weigh in, and then look at the array of potential solutions. But it does involve the Park Service. Anything that we do at the bridge or on Alexander Avenue requires their approval, their environmental process. And we have had discussions with the Park Service and with Caltrans and with the Golden Gate National Parks Conservancy about a variety of things. One thing that former Director Kate Sears used to always advocate for was to pave Vista Point Road so that the tourist bikes would have the opportunity to ride or walk their bikes down a portion of the path without being on Alexander Avenue. because it would separate them from vehicle traffic. So there's a whole host of solutions that could be contemplated. But I think, engage in the Bike and Pedestrian Advisory Committee, and then depending on the solutions, seeking grants for a little bit or a lot of money. Anything that involves widening would involve retaining walls through active landslides that would be quite expensive. Anything that can be squeezed into the existing footprint by narrowing lanes and other things would be much more economical.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Director Grossball. I would ask other directors if they have questions for the general manager to hold them until his report. This concludes public comments for items on today's agenda. Madam Secretary, the next item on the agenda, please.
Thank you. We're going to move on to item number 5 to approve the consent calendar, including the approval of minutes from the committee and board meetings of July, as well as ratification of previous actions by the auditor controller. The consent calendar is located on page 5 to 31 of your packet.
So moved.
There's a motion. And there's a second. Are there questions, comments, or corrections from members of the board on the consent calendar? Hearing none, Madam Secretary, it's time for a roll call vote.
Thank you. I'm going to vote on the consent calendar with a first second, starting with Director Arnold, who's absent. Director Conroy is also absent. I don't see her listed. Director Garbarino.
Aye.
Director Giudice.
Yes.
Director Grossball.
Aye.
Director Hernandez is absent. Director Maston.
Aye.
Director Parr.
Aye.
Director Rabbit.
Aye.
Director Rodoni.
Aye.
Director Snyder.
Aye.
Director Stephanie is absent. Director Thier.
Aye.
Second Vice President Hill.
Yes.
First Vice President Cochran.
Yes.
And President Thierio.
Yes.
Thank you. You have 12 ayes.
Thank you, Madam Secretary. So the motion does pass. Please introduce the next item.
We're going to move on to item 6A, and that's the report of the general manager. And that staff report can be found on pages 33 to 41 of your packet. And Dennis is here to present his report. Dennis, take it away.
Thank you, Madam Secretary, Mr. President, members of the board, members of the public and staff. My written report is before you. There's a lot of information there, so I won't walk you through all of it. I will highlight a couple of items, and then I'm available, as always, to answer any questions you may have on items in my report or other items. One item I would like to highlight, though, is very important from a transit perspective and growing transit ridership in the Bay Area. Previously, this board took an action to have a public hearing and to solicit comments and to participate in a new institutional transit pilot pass program in the Bay Area. I'm pleased to inform you that on August 15th, it was launched at 4 universities here in the Bay Area. It's been branded the Clipper Bay Pass. And so Clipper cards were loaded with this new pass product, and they're being made available to randomly selected students, making up about a quarter or 25% of the student body at San Francisco State University, San Jose State University, UC Berkeley, and Santa Rosa Community College. Then next month will be launched at several affordable housing properties in the Bay Area. In this initial phase, the pass is being made available at no cost to students and residents of the selected properties, and it allows unlimited travel on all Bay Area public transit agencies that use Clipper, including our buses and our ferries. This is important because it'll allow the region to gather data to see how it may encourage or enhance transit ridership. For example, at SF State, there's an existing pass called the Gator Pass that allows riders to use BART and Muni, but only those systems. So many students have the Gator Pass. Some students will have this new Bay Pass, and we'll be able to compare data to see how it enhances or grows people's interest in riding transit. So I just wanted to highlight that because it's very important, and we'll be reporting back to you periodically as data is gathered from the program. I'd be remiss if I didn't also mention money. As a public agency, we collect money and we spend money. And it's important to note that as we navigate the long tail of the pandemic, revenues are still down significantly compared to the pre-pandemic conditions. The district's revenues from tolls on the bridge and transit fares are still down a little over $1 million every week. What that means is every week we take in $1 million less than we did before the pandemic. Bridge traffic is down. It's been bouncing around a little bit, but it's down about 80%. And that number changes. It's a little better the last couple of weeks. The commute, though, is still down a third. So Monday through Friday, 5 a.m. to 9 a.m., 1/3 fewer vehicles are going southbound across the Golden Gate Bridge. Bus and ferry are down, also primarily the commute. So our bus ridership was down 58% for the most recent week data was available. That means, we carried, less than half of our pre-pandemic customers. And ferry was down a similar amount. It was down 53%. So we almost carried, about half of our pre-pandemic customers. So we do have financial challenges that we are confronting. So it highlights that we are spending one-time federal COVID relief money. And in light of our continued reduced revenues, it's important that we control expenses to make that one-time federal money last as long as possible. I do want to highlight, which I do every couple months in my monthly report, I have a link to the Bay Area's research efforts to collect workplace reopening data, which is vital to us. The reopening of downtown San Francisco is vital to our business. If commuters are not going into offices in downtown San Francisco, it has a huge impact on bus and ferry operations, on the amount of service that our customers need, as well as on the amount of revenues we collect. So if you click on that link, you can go through the data. They've been doing this every month for 15 months, and it's quite helpful. And I encourage you to look at it periodically. Jumping around a little bit, there's lots of other data, but I think I'll close by the most important part, which is talking about our employees. We're very pleased that we get to recognize our employees once a month. We had a retirement in our bus division. Bus operator Martin Melgar retired. He worked for us for 22 years, 2 months, and 10 days. He retired on August 1st. He joined us originally back in May of 2020, and we wish him a long and healthy retirement. We also have one 20-year service award this month, and that's to Paul Fritz. He's a bridge sergeant in the bridge division. He was originally hired as part of our initial class of patrol officers on August 5th, 2002. The patrol officer classification is something that we created at the district after the horrific events of September 11th, a year earlier. That then brings us to the Employee of the Month. The Employee of the Month this month was selected by the Employee of the Month Committee, which is employees, not management. And they selected bus operator Troy Thornton to be the Employee of the Month for August. He's recognized for his role in our bus division mentorship program. He's volunteered for a variety of leadership roles in helping new employees acclimate and transition to being a bus operator. It's a very difficult job, and so it's helpful for our new bus operators to have a mentor to help them and guide them through the process. He is seen as an exemplary employee, and he's also been helpful in the creation of the Joint Apprenticeship and Training Committee to establish and support the apprenticeship program, and he's a member of that committee today. He just cares a lot about the district. He's tireless in his advocacy and help to his colleagues. He's also one of the bus operators that assisted and volunteered to go down to Santa Clara County after the horrific shooting at the VTA maintenance facility. VTA did a call for mutual aid to other transit operators in the Bay Area. We asked our bus operators if they would be willing to volunteer, and several did, including Mr. Troy Thornton, the Employee of the Month. They took district vehicles down to Santa Clara County and provided service while VTA was struggling with the challenges at that event. He was originally hired in June of 2015. Prior to joining the district, he was a tour bus operator for 9 years with Gray Lines. He was born in Vallejo. He attended Fairfield High School. He's been a resident of Fairfield since 1975, where he lives with his wife and his daughters. He's just a fabulous employee. We cannot thank him enough. And kudos to Mr. Troy Thornton, the Employee of the Month for August 2022. That concludes my presentation on this item, and I'm available to answer any questions you may have on my report.
Thank you, Mr. Mulligan, and thanks so much to the employees that were honored today, and to all our employees, frankly. So are there directors with questions on or supplementing the general manager's report? And I'm going to point at Director Hill because I know he had his hand up earlier and ask if he wants to jump in with a question now.
I just had a couple of, thank you. I had a couple comments and questions regarding Alexander Avenue. I chair the Caltrans District 4 Bicycle Advisory Committee, and I've tried to open talks about contribution from California through that area also, and I fully agree with everything. I've also read the recent report that they all referred to, and I think this is a critical area that needs a lot of attention, and I don't want to go into a lot of detail, but I think there is a general movement towards trying to accomplish a way of making this safe, particularly considering the millions of people who travel through who are tourists and do not have the experience of riding this before and understanding it. It's just very dangerous. Thank you.
Thank you. Director Maston, I see your hand up.
Yeah, this is also an Alexander Avenue question. It seems to me when this came up before the repavement, it looked like there was also hillside slippage. And was that dealt with in this repair effort?
No, it was not. We just fixed temporarily the worst pavement. We have not addressed the landslide. That is a larger project, and it will take considerable time, and it'll take a lot of coordination with the Park Service.
Okay, thank you.
Any other directors with comments or questions for the general manager? Director Thier.
Yes, I want to thank all of the members of the public and the Bike Coalition who spoke about this. I think ensuring that this area is safe is a priority for the district. And I look forward to seeing what is put forth. Thank you.
Thank you. Other directors? Not seeing any. I will add one little thing myself, and that is that prior to this, as many of you know, I was very active on a bicycle and rode Alexander Avenue often. And the place where you have to cross from the southbound direction to get onto the east sidewalk is always hair-raising. So I will second that sentiment I've heard from some of the folks in public comment today.
If I could, Mr. President, on that topic, there's a free right turn for the off-ramp. The Bridge District is in conversations with the Park Service, and we're trying to engage Caltrans to remove that free right and make it a stop sign also. So vehicles going off of 101 that want to go down Alexander would have to come to a complete stop. So there is a recognition that something needs to be done, but that particular location is outside our permitted area, but we are working very aggressively with the Park Service to enhance that.
Understood. Thank you. Thank you, General Manager Mulligan. Then that would conclude the General Manager's report. Madam Secretary, the next item, please.
Thank you. We're going to move on to item 6B, and that's report of the attorney. Kim Manolius's monthly staff reports found on page 43, and Kim's on the line to present his report. Kim, go ahead with your report.
Thanks, Amaret. Good morning, everyone. My written report's before you, as Amaret said. I'm happy to take any questions. I have two pieces of good news. The first being that there's no closed session today. And the second one, I wanted to report briefly on a victory, a litigation victory. We've been reporting for a number of months on the Kendrick Kelly Moore case, which was filed in 2018. It's a class action challenging the way in which the Bridge District handles personally identifiable information in collecting its tolls and penalties. A very dangerous case because of the volume of transactions. However, the Bridge District absolutely does it right and works with the DMV appropriately, but I digress. But what I wanted to say is we just got a denial of class certification in that case, which is just a huge victory. And thanks to Alex Atencio, our chief trial lawyer, and David Casarubias, who works closely with her, did a terrific job on the case. The case isn't over. Of course, we'll have to deal with the individual claim, but that's pairs in by comparison. And I will also note that some of our sister toll agencies in Southern California settled this exact case or a very similar case a couple of years ago for $217 million and $21 million in attorney's fees. So it's a good victory, and we'll do everything we can to ice it. So any questions, I'm happy to take.
Thank you, Mr. Manolius, and thanks to Ms. Atencio. Are there directors with questions for Mr. Manolius? I see no hands. Madam Secretary, do you see anybody?
I see no hands.
Very good. Then let us move along to the next item.
All right, we're going to move on to 6C, and that's report of the chief engineer, and that report can be found in your B&O packet from yesterday as agenda item number 7. Ava Bauer-Furbish is here to present her report. Ava, go ahead and start.
Thank you, Amaret. Good morning, everyone. My written report is before you, and I would like to highlight 3 of the projects that may be of interest to the board. First is, of course, the suicide deterrent project. The contractor is working on various stages of the suicide deterrent net system construction. on different structures of the Golden Gate Bridge. On August 17th, the contractor began installation of the net in span 3 of the suspension bridge. So short explanation, what we call span 3 is the northern portion of the main span of the suspension bridge, northern half. The contractor is also continuing with the installation of interior and exterior border cable in span 2. Obviously, span 2 is the southern half of the main span. They also continue working on the access installation in the south approach viaduct. In addition to the work platforms that can be seen installed on the east side of the truss spans of the viaduct. Right now we have, they also added the ground supported scaffolding in so-called number 3 girder span. As previously reported, the installation of net panels on the west side of the north approach viaduct has been completed, and the contractor continues to make adjustments to the work platforms on the east side of the viaduct before they can begin installation of the net panels. And finally, commencement they started installation of a preparation to install access on the 4th Point Arch. And this will be another important step. After installation of this access, they will begin installation of the net supports. So now I'd like to turn to the Toll Plaza Administration Building elevator repairs and improvement. The contractor is progressing with the work. They are doing a lot of work in the basement, where there will be the new mechanical elevator, elevator mechanical room will be established. So the contractor did some demolition, removed the flooring and wall materials, and adjusted the framing of the room to adjust for the new need, especially around the doors. They also install an air conditioning duct. This is necessary because in this type of mechanical room with the electronic equipment and so on, it is necessary to keep the constant and lower temperature. Further, they also working on the routing of conduit that it's necessary for the new electrical controls, telephone and fire alarm wires and cables. So these wires and cables will be will provide connections from the mechanical room in the basement to the 1st and 2nd floor where elevator will be installed. And finally, the contractor is working on preparing elevator design plans. These plans will be submitted for approval to the California Department of Industrial Relations. And as some of you may know, this is the agency that oversees the elevator safety in the state. And finally, briefly about the dredging project. Larkspur Ferry Terminal berth and channel maintenance dredging. We have received the regulatory approvals, and the dredging is scheduled to commence on August 30th. So with this, I'm available to answer any question you may have for me.
Thank you, Ms. Bauer-Furbush. Before I go to the directors for questions, I will remind the public, as was stated, that Ms. Bauer-Furbush's report, monthly report, which is always wonderfully thorough, is available this time around as item 7 in the Building and Operating Committee meeting packet, which you can find on the district's website. So without other questions from members of the board for Ms. Bauer-Furbush. I see none. Again, I'll ask Madam Secretary, do you see any?
I see none.
Very good. Then Madam Secretary, the next item on the agenda.
Thank you. We're going to move on to item number 8, since there are no other reports under item 7. Item 8A is the report of the Transportation Committee meeting of yesterday, August 25th. And that summary of recommendation for this meeting can be found on page 47 of your packet. Turn it back to you.
Thank you, Madam Secretary. Members of the board, the action item under 8A was discussed at length at yesterday's Transportation Committee meeting before coming before you today for your action. And thank you, Vice Chair Hill, for filling in to chair yesterday's meeting with Ms. Arnold unavailable, or Director Arnold unavailable. Please begin the Transportation Committee's report to the board.
Thank you. I wanted to specifically thank everyone involved in reaching the agreement with Marin Transit, and I'm happy to present the item 8A1, recommending the board approve execution of an interagency agreement between the Marin County Transit District and the Golden Gate Bridge Highway and Transportation District for our district's provision of local fixed route based bus service in Marin County for a 3-year and 9-month term commencing October 1st, 2022, with 2 additional 1-year options as detailed in the staff report, and I so move.
Is there a second?
Second.
All right. Then are there questions or comments from board members on item 8A1? Seeing none, Madam Secretary, roll call vote, please.
Thank you. Voting on item 8A1 with the first and second, starting with Director Arnold, who's absent. Director Conroy is absent. Director Garbarino.
Aye.
Director Giudice.
Yes.
Director Grossball.
Aye.
Director Hernandez is absent. Director Maston.
Aye.
Director Parr.
Aye.
Director Rabbit.
Aye.
Director Rodoni.
Aye.
Director Snyder.
Aye.
Director Stephanie is absent. Director Thier.
Aye.
Second Vice President Hill.
Yes.
First Vice President Cochran.
Yes.
And President Terrio.
Yes.
Thank you. That's 12 ayes.
12 ayes does it. This item is adopted. Vice Chair Hill, anything more for us today?
Thank you. That concludes my report.
Very good. Thank you also. Madam Secretary, the next item on the agenda.
Thank you. Item 8B is the report of the Building and Operating Committee meeting of Thursday, August 25th. And that summary of recommendations for this meeting is on page 49 of your packet. I'll leave it back to you.
Thank you, Madam Secretary. The action items under 8B were also discussed at yesterday's Building and Operating Committee meeting before coming before the full board for their action today. Chair Garbarino, please begin your committee's report to the board.
Thank you, President Terrio. We had a very engaging meeting yesterday that included thoughtful dialogue from my colleagues. With that, the Building and Operating Committee is recommending approval of item 8B1 to authorize execution of professional services agreement number 2022B061 Golden Gate Bridge Strong Motion Instrumentation Program with the State of California Division of Mines and Geology in an amount not to exceed $125,248 and establish a 10% contingency for the agreement in the amount of $12,525 as detailed in the staff report, and I so move.
And thank you, Chair Garbarino. There's a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
And there's a second. Any questions from comments from members of the board on this item? I see a couple head shakes and no hands up. So, Madam Secretary, another roll call vote.
Thank you. We're voting on item 8B1 with the first and second, starting with Director Arnold, who's absent. Director Conroy is absent. Director Garbarino again.
Aye.
Thank you. Director Giudice.
Yes.
Director Grossball.
Yes.
Director Hernandez is absent. Director Maston.
Aye.
Director Parr.
Aye.
Director Rabbit.
Aye.
Director Rodoni.
Aye.
Director Snyder. I saw the nod.
Yeah, sorry.
Sorry. That's okay.
This thing was.
Thank you. Director Stephanie is absent. Director Thier.
Yes.
Second Vice President Hill.
Yes.
First Vice President Cochran.
Yes.
And President Terrio.
Yes.
Thank you. You have 12 ayes.
And unanimity passes it. Chair Garbarino, I believe you have more for us.
Thank you, I do.
The Building and Operating Committee is also recommending approval of item 8B2 to authorize execution of the third amendment to Professional Services Agreement number 2017 D30, San Rafael Transportation Center relocation analysis, environmental clearance, and preliminary design with Kimley Horn and Associates in the amount of $1,647,259, approve an increase in the project contingency by $104,026, and authorize an increase in the fiscal year 2022-2023 bus division capital budget in the amount of $1,751,284 for project 1717 San Rafael Transportation Center relocation analysis, environmental clearance, and preliminary design, as concurred with by the Finance Auditing Committee and as detailed in the staff report, and I so move.
Thank you, Chair Garbarino. We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
There's a second, right away. Are there questions or comments from board members on item 8B2? I see none. Madam Secretary, if you see none, let's go to a roll call vote.
Thank you. Once again, item 8B2 with the first and second, starting with Director Arnold, who's absent, Director Conroy is absent, Director Garbarino.
Aye.
Director Giudice.
Yes.
Director Grosbol.
Yes.
Director Hernandez is absent, Director Maston.
Aye.
Director Parr.
Aye.
Director Rabbit.
Aye.
Director Rodoni.
Aye.
Director Snyder.
Aye.
Director Stephanie is absent, Director Thier.
Aye.
Second Vice President Hill.
Yes.
First Vice President Cochran.
Yes.
And President Terrio.
Yes,
Thank you. You have 12 ayes again.
and the motion passes again. Chair Garbarino, onward, please.
Thank you. And finally, the Building and Operating Committee is recommending approval of item 8B3 to approve award of contract number 2022 F012, engineering and detailed design services for the construction of a new build ferry to Aurora Marine Design of San Diego, California, for a total not to exceed amount of $1,943,173.50, as detailed in the staff report, and I so move.
So there's a motion for a new boat. Or
I'll
design,
second that.
design of a new boat, and there's a second for design of a new boat. Any questions or comments from board members on item 8B3? There are none. Madam Secretary, another roll call vote, please.
Thank you. Item 8B3, and we have a first and second, starting with Director Arnold, who's absent, Director Conroy is absent, Director Garbarino.
Aye.
Director Giudice.
Yes.
Director Grosbol.
Yes.
Director Hernandez is absent, Director Maston.
Aye.
Director Parr.
Aye.
Director Rabbit.
Aye.
Director Rodoni.
Aye.
Director Snyder.
Aye.
Director Stephanie is absent, Director Thier.
Aye.
Second Vice President Hill.
Yes.
First Vice President Cochran.
Yes.
And President Terrio.
Yes,
Thank you. You have 12 again.
thank you. Chair Garbarino, is that a wrap?
It is. It concludes my report. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Madam Secretary, on to the next item of the agenda, please.
Thank you. Item 8C1 is the report of the Finance Auditing Committee meeting of Thursday, August 25th, and that summary of recommendations for this meeting is on page 51 of your packet.
Thank you, Madam Secretary. Members of the board, the action items here also were discussed at yesterday's Finance Auditing Committee meeting before coming before you today. Chair Rabbit, your committee's report to the board, please.
Thank you, President Terrio. The Finance Auditing Committee is recommending approval of item 8C1 to approve establishment of a new capital project, project number 2321. It is the Suicide Deterrent System Rescue Training Net project in the fiscal year 22-23 Bridge Division capital budget with a total budget of $824,000 for the construction of a rescue training net at the Southern Marin Fire Department facility in Mill Valley, California, as detailed in the staff report, and I so move.
Thank you for your motion, Chair Rabbit. Is there a second to the motion?
Second.
And there is a second. Are there questions or comments from board members on item 8C3? Excuse me, item 8C1, excuse me. And again, I see no hands raised. And so, Madam Secretary, if you too see no hands raised, let's do a roll call vote.
Okay, moving on to the roll call vote for 8C1, starting with Director Arnold. Absent. Director Conroy is absent. Director Garbarino.
Aye.
Director Giudice.
Yes.
Director Grosbol.
Aye.
Director Hernandez is absent. Director Maston.
Aye.
Director Parr.
Aye.
Director Rabbit.
Aye.
Director Rodoni.
Aye.
Director Snyder.
Aye.
Director Stephanie is absent. Director Thier.
Aye.
Second Vice President Hill.
Yes.
First Vice President Cochran.
Yes.
And President Terrio.
Yes.
Thank you. That's 12 ayes.
Thank you, Madam Secretary. Chair Rabbit, let's keep rolling.
The Finance Auditing Committee is also recommending approval of item 8C2 to authorize the general manager or designee to execute the 2022 amended and restated, Clipper Memorandum of Understanding with the Metropolitan Transportation Commission and all other transit operators using the Clipper Fare Collection System as detailed in the staff report, and I so move.
And so there's a motion with the restatement of restated. Are there seconds to the motion?
Second.
And there's a second. Any questions or comments from board members on this one? Again, seeing none, Madam Secretary, roll call vote, please.
Thank you. Item 8C2, starting with Director Arnold is absent. Director Conroy is absent. Director Garbarino.
Aye.
Director Giudice.
Yes.
Director Grosbol.
Aye.
Thank you. Director Hernandez is absent. Director Maston.
Aye.
Director Parr.
Aye.
Director Rabbit.
Aye.
Director Rodoni.
Aye.
Director Snyder.
Aye.
Director Stephanie is absent. Director Thier.
Aye.
Second Vice President Hill.
An enthusiastic yes.
First Vice President Cochran.
Yes.
And President Terrio.
Yes.
Thank you. That's 12 ayes.
Thank you, Madam Secretary. That also passes. Chair Rabbit, continue, please.
The Finance Auditing Committee is also recommending approval of item 8C3 to authorize execution of a professional services agreement relative to request for proposals number 2022-D-009 external audit services with Ide Bailey LLP of Menlo Park, California, in the amount of $275,436 for a 3-year term with 2 one-year options to be exercised at the discretion of the general manager or designee in the amount of $95,509 for year 4 and the amount of $97,419 for year 5, as detailed in the staff report, and I so move.
And so again, we have a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Various seconds and hands up for seconds. Madam Secretary, I'll let you sort those out. Questions or comments from board members on the motion to get an audit done? I see none, Madam Secretary, and then a roll call vote once more.
Thank you. On item 8C3, starting with Director Arnold, who's absent. Director Conroy is absent. Director Garbarino.
Aye.
Director Giudice.
Yes.
Director Grosbol.
Yes.
Director Hernandez is absent. Director Maston.
Aye.
Director Parr.
Aye.
Director Rabbit.
Aye.
Director Rodoni.
Aye.
Director Snyder.
Aye.
Director Stephanie is absent. Director Thier.
Aye.
Second Vice President Hill.
Yes.
First Vice President Cochran.
Yes.
And President Terrio.
Yes.
Thank you. You have 12 ayes, and before I continue, I wanted to just let the board know that at this time, after this vote, we'll be placing Directors Grosbol and Snyder into a waiting room while we tackle the next item.
Thank you. Do you require time to do that, or?
I'm doing that right now. So once I see them leave the screen.
Meanwhile, I'll announce that the thing passed. So
there we go. Thank you. Yes, the item is adopted. Thank you.
That makes it formal. Chair Rabbit, you were busy yesterday, so I think you have more for us.
Well, finally, the Finance Auditing Committee is also recommending approval of item 8C4 to approve premium rates for the district's vision, dental, life insurance, and employee assistance plans for the 6-month period of July 1st, through December 31st of 2022 at an overall estimated renewal cost of $1,515,000, with the understanding that requisite funding is included in the fiscal year 22-23 operating budget as detailed in the staff report, and I so move.
And thank you for the motion. Is there a second?
I'll second the motion.
And there is a second. Are there questions or comments from board members on item 8C4? I see no indication of any. So Madam Secretary, once more, roll call vote.
Thank you. Voting on items 8C4, starting with Director Arnold, who's absent, Director Conroy is absent, Director Garbarino,
Aye.
Director Giudice,
Yes.
Director Grosboll is in the waiting room, so he's absent from this meeting. Director Hernandez is absent, Director Maston,
Aye.
Director Parr,
Aye.
Director Rabbit,
Aye.
Director Rodoni.
Aye.
Thank you. Director Snyder is also absent. Director Stephanie is absent. Director Thier,
Aye.
Second Vice President Hill,
Yes.
First Vice President Cochran,
Yes.
and President Theriault.
Yes,
We have exactly 10.
which is exactly enough. Okay.
We'll bring back, give me a second to bring back Director Snyder and Grosboll.
Well, let me first of all confirm that
There we go.
Chair Rabbit has nothing further to report.
Mr. President, that does conclude my report.
Thank you. Bring them back.
And they're back. There we go.
Very good. Then, Madam Secretary, on to the next item on the agenda.
Excuse me. We're going to move on to agenda item number 10, since there are no other addresses to the board. And we're going to start with special order of business, which is item number 10A, and that's to authorize a resolution of appreciation to Myrna Melgar in recognition of her dedicated service as a director to our board.
Thank you, Madam Secretary. We were unable to officially send off Supervisor Melgar before she left our board. But we wish her the best as she refocuses her work in San Francisco, on her work in San Francisco, as well as her family. So I will make a motion to approve a resolution that's for Supervisor Melgar to thank her for her service to the district, this board, and the projects and issues we tackled together during her time here. Can I get a second?
Second.
Second.
I have a couple of seconds. Madam Secretary, a roll call vote, please.
Thank you. This is to approve a resolution of appreciation for Supervisor Melgar. So I'll start with Director Arnold, who's absent, Director Conroy is absent, Director Garbarino,
Aye.
Director Giudice,
Yes.
Director Grosboll,
Aye.
Director Hernandez is absent, Director Maston,
Aye.
Director Parr,
Aye.
Director Rabbit,
Aye.
Director Rodoni,
Aye.
Director Snyder,
Aye.
Director Stephanie is absent, Director Thier,
Aye.
Second Vice President Hill.
Yes, she's
First
my
Vice-
district.
Yeah. So but you don't have to recuse yourself though.
No.
First Vice President Cochran
Yes.
and President Theriault.
Yes.
Thank you. That's 12 ayes.
Thank you, directors, for your support for the resolution of appreciation. Madam Secretary, I look forward to seeing the resolution for my signature for a subsequent presentation to Supervisor Melgar. And so on with the agenda, please.
Thank you, President Theriault. Thank you. We're moving on to agenda item number 10B, relative to conducting remote meetings. I'm before you again, seeking the board's approval to adopt a resolution to allow us to continue these remote meetings in accordance with Assembly Bill 361, with the understanding that if nothing else changes, the board's considering this again at their next meeting on September 23rd.
Thank you, Madam Secretary. Any questions for comments from board members on item 10B? I see none. Madam Secretary, that concludes discussion on it then. Could I have a motion to continue this policy?
So moved.
Second.
Second.
Various motions and seconds. I'll leave it to you to sort out, Madam Secretary. But let's move along to a roll call vote.
Thank you. We're voting on item 810B now, starting with Director Arnold, who's absent, Director Conroy is absent, Director Garbarino,
Aye.
Director Giudice,
Yes.
Director Grosboll,
Aye.
Director Hernandez is absent, Director Maston,
Aye.
Director Parr,
Aye.
Director Rabbit,
Aye. Sorry.
no problem, Director Rodoni,
Aye.
Director Snyder,
Aye.
Director Stephanie is absent, Director Thier,
Aye.
Second Vice President Hill,
Yes.
First Vice President Cochran,
Yes.
and President Tirio.
Yes,
Thank you. You have 12 ayes.
12 ayes, and the item is adopted. Madam Secretary, the next item, please.
So we're going to move on to item 10C, which is the discussion and possible action to terminate the suspension of board procedural rules and policies for COVID-19 related emergency actions. Mr. Mulligan's brief staff reports on page 55, and he's available to answer any questions directors may have.
Are there questions or comments from directors for Mr. Mulligan on this item? Then, hearing none, I would look for a motion to continue consideration of this item to a special order of business at the next regular.
Also moved.
Second.
Motions and seconds galore. Madam Secretary, please do a roll call vote.
Thank you. Item 10C with a first and second. Starting with Director Arnold, who's absent, Director Conroy is absent, Director Garbarino,
Aye.
Director Giudice,
Yes.
Director Grosball,
Aye.
Director Hernandez is absent, Director Maston,
Aye.
Director Parr,
Aye.
Director Rabbit,
Aye.
Director Rodoni,
Aye.
Director Snyder,
Aye.
Director Stephanie is absent, Director Thier,
Aye.
Second Vice President Hill,
Yes.
First Vice President Cochran,
Yes.
and President Tirio.
Yes,
Thank you. You have 12 ayes.
12 ayes, and the measure passes. We have no unfinished business and no new business to report. Item number 13 is communications. Director should have received a revised communication summary containing the communications received subsequent to the original mailing. My colleagues, if you would like a copy of communications, please contact the district secretary's office. Before we move to the end of the agenda, I would like belatedly to thank Director Cochran for filling in on me at the last regular meeting of the board when I was radically indisposed.
My pleasure.
And so we have reached the end of the agenda. There are no further items to be presented to the board. Thanks everyone who joined us for today's meeting. Can we have a motion to adjourn?
Move.
Move.
Motions and a second. Hearing no objections. Hearing no objections. We will be adjourning today's meeting in memory of Judith May Borello, longtime Marin resident, wrote a poem for the Golden Gate Bridge's 50th anniversary in 1987 entitled The Glorious Golden Gate. I'm not sure if anyone is aware of it, but Ms. Borello's poem is bronzed and on display at Vista Point. Please join me in a moment of silence. Thank you, colleagues. The time is 11:24 a.m. This meeting is adjourned.
Bye, everyone.
Bye, everyone.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Thanks.